Hello to all my friends out there. Hi, you guys. I hope everyone is doing okay. So you see, I was still arranging flowers. It's so fun. I bought these rose plants and I put some flowers in them and it looks so much better. And today I bought this lava rock and I go, wow, I'm going to try to find some of these at the thrift store and put them in my garden. They're not too expensive and they'll be pretty out there. My garden is coming along pretty good. I hope to have a balcony garden as well. Okay, now, what did I do with that? Oh, I know what I did with it. This is mint tea that I put in my freezer to get it icy cold. And so what happened was, last year I grew a huge mint plant, but the bugs got to it, so I tore it out, and that was a big mistake. So I had this mint plant, and it was growing kind of crazy, so I cut that part off, and what I did is I boiled this mint in water for quite a while. And here, let's see if I can get it out. Here it is. I grew it. And so if you grow mint, you're always going to have tea. I also want to grow chamomile and a few other things this year. I'm taking the mint out before I drink it. So anyway, the thing about this is there's a lot of chlorophyll in this. You know, that is healthy. It is so good. I put my grapefruit peel in there for a few minutes too. Okay, prepare for the new warfare. Small grid down food prep, little by little approach. Okay, if you live in a city or you're a single woman or you don't have that much money, you can still do a little prep. Because the new war is a little bit different than the old-fashioned war. Okay, the Depression was during 1929 to 1933. That was the worst of it, and it lasted 10 years. So what we see now is the new war is wreck the other guy's economy. That's a good way to really mess people up. So we see that. So why is it we think that could never happen to us? Okay, I have some milk. I got this milk at the food pantry. This is the best thing to get. So, okay, what I want to do is I want to tell you what to expect. We don't know when to expect it, but what to expect. Okay, so I want to make, at the same time I'm going to cook. I want to make some potato soup, but some old-fashioned potato soup that is going to let us survive if something happens. I have one potato in here. I have some chives. I have some chopped chives. I have some onion. And I had a little bit of this Parmesan and garlic salt. Here's the chives and the onions and water. And I cooked it down and I cooked it down. This was the old-fashioned way, and they would have the food on the fire all day. So now I want to, it's good to go right now. So the point is you cook it down almost like a gruel, almost like a mush. It's gonna make more. So I made some butter. We want to learn to do this. You know, there's cheaper ways than to make butter with heavy cream, which I've showed you. When I eat, so I have about 1 tablespoon in there. When I eat this, then I'll make some more. So my potatoes are really, my soup is a very thick broth. See that at this point? It's tasty. You could eat it like this. But I'm going to add a little milk. So if you don't have much meat, one of the best things to have around is milk. All right, so I'm going to cook that for a minute. All right, so one way we could be attacked is the economy. We could be attacked by the economy. I mean, anything could happen. Foreign investors could pull all their money out. You know, they could hack us. Anything could happen. They could wreck our banking system. We could do it to ourselves. So if we're in a depression, we're not as our defenses are not up. It's just like in your house. If like you're really broke and things are really bad, you know, you can't withstand hard, you know, if more hard times come. So we want to avoid that. Okay. Oh, okay, now about wars, because we have 2 of them going on. Call them what you want. Over the last 2 centuries, most wars lasted 3 to 4 months, 15 months in modern. Okay, they're lasting longer and they're costing more. But the prudent thing to do is to prepare for 2 years and grow food now. Learn how to grow food now. Something happens during the Depression in this country, they could still grow food. We can still grow food too because we get seeds, and all the food we buy. Just start saving your seeds. All the seeds and all the sprouts in my garden that have come up are from the seeds out of my food this year. I do have seeds, so I'm going to plant them too. Okay, so say, okay, I need enough food to last until I can grow some more food, and it's not really that hard to prepare for 2 years once you get the hang of it. Okay, starvation. Okay, when the colonists came from to America, the leading cause of starvation is they had no idea how to cultivate and grow food. Well, any food they have there were seeds, they could plant them. So we need to be able to grow some food. Even if you live in an apartment, even if you're an old lady, Ellen's Abundant Life on Les, her mother grew tomato plants in the backyard and had quite the garden. She's 90. All right, so if you can't grow any food and there is no food, you're going to starve. Okay, now think about this. Poverty, unemployment, and low wages. So we need to be prepared to create a little job of our own if something happens. So I want to mention something. Okay, today my son goes, Mom, do you know where those typewriters are? And I go, no, I don't know where they are. I'll go to the thrift store. That's how the lava rock happened. And I said, do you guys have any typewriters? He goes, well, we get them every now and then, but collectors grab them. So tomorrow I'm going to mention to my daughter-in-law, look on offer up. But tomorrow I'm going to be on the typewriter search. But so typewriters, and I have wanted to do this one for a while, sell books. This is a pictorial, it says a pictorial history of the Civil War. Okay, any kind of history books are another thing. I think people on eBay are snapping them up, or else, you know, they're just not, maybe because of the internet, but if you can find these, you're going to be able to sell those. And you can, when I retired, my idea was to start a little swap meet business, and then, you know, I got sidetracked. So during the Depression, one of the grandmothers bought her 2 grandsons a pizza shop, and they're still selling pizzas to this day. Okay, so my grandfather grew produce and sold it by the side of the road, but here we have farmers markets, or where I go to the food pantry, they have a garden thing across the street. So if I have an excess of plants this year, I might donate this, but I could sell them. Also, I knew a kid. This was like one of those kids, you know those kids. He somehow started getting old tires and reselling them. And in time he started, I think he got them at the dump. And in time, he started selling them at the swap meet. And in time, he got a tire shop, and they were living like good, you guys. So be thinking, what could I possibly sell? Okay, so we're looking. What happens if there's a depression? If there's a grid down? Okay. If the power goes down, now that is what I would expect, and I would expect a major hack or city like the casinos in Las Vegas were hacked and they had to pay out a ransom. I would expect like big cities like New York or LA, anywhere actually, weather can knock the grid down. So when the power goes out, that means there's not going to be running water. So we have to stockpile for that. Put it this way, eventual grid down. Okay, so now today when I was at the, I want to talk about this now. Today when I was at the food pantry, I told the girls I'm eating oatmeal for breakfast. I'm eating 3 egg whites and some bacon. So this goes on too with preparing. This is some bacon that I made, 1 pound bacon. I baked at 400, so I have bacon ready. I just get my 3 egg whites and I have them in a little bowl for my egg whites tomorrow. And I said, can you make any suggestions? And they said, yeah, why don't you add a small carb? And I said, like a bagel and some cream cheese, a half a bagel. They go, yeah, that would be great. And I got the bagels at the food pantry. And then the little girl at the front said, how about some turkey burger for dinner? So I found this at Grocery Outlet for $3.99. So I usually add about I have a 1/4 pound, so I will cut that in 4 pieces, and that's what I like to do because that is a $1 portion of meat. Then I get a carb and I get some vegetables, and voila, tonight I'm having soup. Okay, so now if the water is going to be out, if the water is badly contaminated, you have to know that you have to relocate, because how much water can a person really, I mean, if they were bombed or something like that. So one of the worst things would be water. And then you have to have food that is storable in a way it's going to last. No electricity. So they say if the electricity goes down, turn off your electrical devices, like your, I guess, unplug them. So, but it's possible that maybe a gas stove will still work. So you would have some for cooking. So, okay, think about these options. Cooking on an open hook fire, propane cooking, and also I had a gasoline camp stove that sold right away, but that just made me too nervous, you know. So, but they do exist. And then there are solar little hot plate things. So I think your best bet would be a hibachi, but here we're not supposed to really have hibachis, but that way you could use some wood or some charcoal, because propane is expensive, but you have to think about that in advance. Okay, so now, so if the water was to go off, you would want to think about where could I get some water. So I have already thought about this, and I thought of one place that is inexpensive and the water runs off because they feed the cattle there, is Elko, Nevada, and the rent is cheap too. So you would want to relocate where there would be a source of good water. You need water, food, and clean air. Or if something happened to the air, like fires. Also, I want to mention, like in the Hawaii fires, the people were killed by the smoke. So the trick there is you have to evacuate you have to be the first one out in something like that and drive quick. Okay, so another thing is like wells. Like we have well water here. I mentioned to you guys, oh, my soup is looking good. I want to mention this. I read this, and when I read this, it's like I always knew this. I mean, I didn't always knew this. I didn't know this, but it only makes sense that in the day, back in the olden days, their food was like gruels or like, like mush. And so this is one potato, so I assume they made a lot. So here it is. So if you had some bread and some of this good soup that's dirt cheap, you could put a little powdered milk in here if you don't have milk. So I wanted to mention that. And the bacon. You could put bacon in here. You could put bacon grease in here a little bit. Olive oil, any kind of meat. So that is what they did with the soups. And then if you have your big mint plants, I will be getting a basil plant and some other tea plants. Okay, now how about this bad thought? Attack on the dams. So you have to be careful because like here, the water runs from north to south down to the Gulf of Mexico, so it would be very dangerous here. I assume it would run, you would have to know the waterways, and you could find out quick if we have a dam breach. There's been some horrible floods in Russia and in China. So a lot of times, cities are built on waterways. It has to do with energy and commerce, but it's not that safe. So if where you live has ever had a major flood, you know it's going to eventually probably flood again. Okay, so I want to start talking about the food storage now. So the first thing I want to talk about is tomatoes. So you saw I made a whole bunch of tomato soup out of a can of tomatoes. I just boiled them down like the potatoes, and then I put salt, pepper, sugar, and some butter. But what you can do that's so great with tomatoes is you can add zucchini, you can add pasta, there's all kinds of things. So tomatoes, so I wanted to mention the fact that I moved from small cans to big cans, and I thought you were just going to eat the cans of soup or the big cans of whatever it is until it's gone. And once you make up your mind you're going to do that, it's cheaper. And also these are packed in tomato juice. That's what you want. Okay, so now, so with tomatoes, you cook them down and you can add corn and bacon or bacon grease. That's going to give you a nice pot of food too. So we're thinking about this, think about a long time ago. People weren't lofty. It's about not, I think there's some people who would these days unnecessarily starve. Once you start making this stuff, you learn how you like it. So cans of tomato. Okay, you won't be able to buy gasoline if the grid goes down. So I'm trying to make sure I have gasoline at all times. There may be gasoline shortages. That goes back to wrecking the economy. Also, they have little pots, though, that you can plug into your car. I'm going to get one of those. Okay, so now think about beans. I took one out. Here it is. I started buying good quality beans when I can find them, because with these, also at the gym, when they mentioned the turkey burger, they said, how about beans? So these are really good quality beans, and you can just eat them right out of the can, or you can put a little bacon in these, or you can refry them. Okay, now peanut butter. During the Depression, the Great Depression, peanut butter was especially important because of the low cost and the high calories. So I have peanuts. So I want to get a mortar so I can grind my food if needs be. So you can, these are raw, so you would bake them 250 on each side, and then put them in between a kitchen towel, rub it together, remove the skin, and then put them in the blender and blend, blend, blend. They'll practically turn into peanut butter, and add a tablespoon of oil. So what I am going to do, as soon as I find one that suits me, is I'm going to be buying big bags of peanuts. You don't have to do that though. You should just buy small bags if that's all. Okay, so beans, peanut butter, and then cereal and milk. I got this cereal at the food pantry, and this is Dollar Tree milk for $1.25. So you have cereal and milk, you have beans, you have tomatoes. Okay, soup and crackers. So I have oatmeal that's open, so I'm eating that, and then I'm going to eat the cereal. Okay, so what I do is I try to buy various different kinds of crackers, but I just noticed that these are multi-grain, water cracker, and butter crisp. And these are vegetable crackers. And what I do with these in the middle of the night, when you guys are not around, when everybody's asleep, as I should be right now, I get these crackers. Oh, this one's already open. And so here's my soup, any kind. Start making it homemade, it's a lot cheaper. Start getting a mint plant and a basil plant, and I just pop my crackers into my soup, and then I eat it. And I eat as many crackers as I want. That is good, you guys. Think about the gruel, think about Oliver. And they said that these gruels that people would eat during the 18th century, they would have bread, and I'm going to give you my bread recipes later, and butter, and they could survive. Okay, so soup and crackers. So I want to get the kind of soup that's going to keep me alive, and I got this marked down. If I had a pile of rice and some split pea soup and some cornbread, I could survive on that. Meals, they could be canned meals in cans. For fruit, raisins are probably the best. I get these at Walmart, and then I can put them in my bread that I've been making. But the other good one are these pineapple slices, because these are packed in their own juice. So if there's no water, you have the option to drink the fruit juice. Just imagine how awful that would be. Just imagine if you didn't have any gas. No gasoline. That'd be super awful. Okay, so now, all right, so if you have milk, even the shelf-stable milk from Dollar Tree, you can make cheese, you can make cottage cheese, you can make butter, gravy, I've been making all kinds of stuff. Okay, now I want to talk to you about, okay, Spam seems lowly, but this is actually 3/4 of a pound of meat. So a couple cans of Spam. They always stockpiled pink salmon or salmon, but now in the food pantries, they don't always give you meat. And then a long time ago, my grandmother had military rations, and they were basically deviled ham. So if you have bread, mayonnaise, mustard, and deviled ham, and some tomatoes and some lettuce, you can survive. You can survive just fine. So if you have a place like Grocery Outlet, now for me, to make sure I have the best milk in my oatmeal, I like this. I put a 1/4 cup of this in 1.5 cups water, 1/4 cup oatmeal, and 1/4 cup half walnuts, half raisins, or whatever. And then I put 2 tablespoons of sugar. So good powdered milk so you can survive. All right. So beans, peanut butter, cereal and milk, soup and crackers, meals, raisins, milk. You can make cheese, potato soup, Spam, rice, and meat. Okay, now back to the gruel. Something happens, you get a big pot and you put the rice in the pot, in water, any kind of meat, any kind of vegetables, whatever you have, and boil it down so it's soft. So it's like, think about baby food, like that. Well, I don't prefer to eat that. Well, this is like when there's no food, you guys. Don't sit in your house when you got 5 people and you know, you've got a 1/4 pound of meat and some onions and some garlic powder and, you know, potatoes. So cook your meat down to a gruel. So put some peas in your rice if you have it, but this will pop into your mind when the time comes, and let's hope it doesn't. Now, I started buying root foods, and I realized how dumb can you be? Okay, you know the big squashes? I would make the squash soup just like this potato soup. Just cut your squashes up, boil them down with water, whatever. I usually put paprika in my sausage, or in my squashes, onions, garlic, whatever you have, and boil them down like this, and then add a little milk and butter, and you have a big pot of soup. So think about potatoes. Cabbages are good. Last night you saw me, I made pickled cabbage, turnips, onions, carrots, and squash. And then think about these bad things if something happens. Soap, diapers, and gasoline. So I heard on the week at the food pantry when they give out diapers, let's see, what was it last week? They did have dog food. That was awesome. Expensive dog food. So one time I was there and a lady said, I hope they have oil. Well, they haven't had oil or else it was gone. So think about a large tea plant, and I am trying to grow soy. Why? Because you want to have soy plants so you can make tofu for protein, soy milk. You know, there was a video, it was an old lady who was 100, and it was during some hard time, and an old man told her, plant soy. They were like the pizza shop. They started planting soy. My soys are doing okay out there so far. But it's very important to have soy milk, soy cheese. You should be able to make everything out of soy milk that you can out of milk. Okay, and don't discount bread and cheese, like the Oslo diet. good wheat bread, butter, cheese, a little fruit, a little vegetable. Now, this is very important. Out here, I probably could have gotten a ton of acorns. So if you have acorns, once again, you can boil them down and make them into mush. Or I assume you could probably grind them and make butter out of acorns. So be thinking about it. Do I have any acorns? You know, life and death. This is the stuff. Imagine sitting in your house and starving if you had acorns. Now, as soon as finances permit, buy big bags of sugar. We'll get into that in a minute. Flour, rice, beans, cornmeal, oatmeal, potatoes, milk, cottage cheese, butter. Okay, if you have milk, you can make cottage cheese, butter, and yogurt. Soy, you can make milk, butter, and cheese. Coconut, so you can make coconut milk, and you'll be able to extract coconut oil if needs be. Okay, so what I started doing is, this is my bacon grease from a pound of bacon. Okay, so now, okay, so then think about these, okay, so you're gonna cook down your food. If you had salt, pepper, onion flakes, and you put veggies in your rice, or veggies in your squash soup, or veggies in your potato soup that you could grow easily. Okay, now think about pasta. So now you can make pasta, and so one of the things they made during the Depression was, and this is like another one, you cook it down and you would make chicken pies, but you would cook the chicken to generate, you cook them slowly to generate a gravy. You just add some cold water and some milk, some vegetables, whatever you have, and then tear all the chicken off the bones, and then you would make noodles because you would have flour, and they used to make them like squares or strips, and those would give you a big pot of food. So be thinking about big pots of food that you could eat. You can also put dumplings on the top, or you can make biscuits and you tear those up and put those on the top. So with pasta, we go back to the spaghetti because you have the big cans of tomatoes, Alfredo, and the oldest casserole is macaroni and cheese. And then pesto. That is why I'm going to be growing basils. All you need is pine nuts. You roast them 5 to 7 minutes at 350. So you want to, pine nuts are horribly expensive, but the nuts are a good thing to keep on hand. Just get into the habit. Basil, garlic, pine nuts, lemon juice, virgin oil, and Parmesan cheese. Very easy to make. Okay, so now think about, okay, so we talked about pine nuts and pesto. Homemade is a whole nother thing. When I grow some, I'll make some. Okay, now think about barley. Barley is another thing. And what you can do is you can just buy the barley like this. It comes with peas. I don't know what's all in here. You just put the water, the onion, your garlic, you move it, you boil it down to a gruel. You go, wow, I don't want to be eating gruel. This is like during some kind of grid down. Think about it as like a porridge or warm soup. And then, okay, so barley, cornmeal can be made into cornmeal mush, oats and beans, and then you want to make the brown bread, which is why I was wisely looking for the recipe for years. I'm not being very careful with my recipe. They would make it in a coffee can. 1 cup flour, 1 cup wheat flour. You can grind your raisin bran or your flaxseed, or if you don't have any whole grain cornmeal, you can just use your cornbread mix or your grits. 1 cup raisins, 2 cups buttermilk. Just put, you need vinegar for your pickles too. Just put vinegar in your milk and it will curdle. 3/4 cup molasses. I'm going to be buying a big one. That's not something you want to run out of. You want your good brown bread to eat with your gruel, and just get used to it. 2 teaspoons baking soda and 1 teaspoon salt. Okay, so bake 325 for 1 hour. I usually make half a batch. Here's my oatmeal recipe. 1/4 cup oatmeal, 3/4 cup water, and evaporate, and then I eat it with evaporated milk. But if I put the raisins and the walnuts in, then this is just oatmeal and water, so it's 1/4 cup oatmeal, 3/4 cup water. But in the other way, where I'm adding the powdered milk, I put 1.5 cups. Also, I want to talk about with these porridges, if you have little pieces of beef or ham, any of those. Okay, now I have this on here, so I'll just mention it. 1 can soup, 1 can bean, 1 can sardines, a small can of Spam, a can of tuna, and 1 can meal. So take a look at this. So you may be saying, why do you have to go into this now? Well, I think it's a good idea to get it all out there now in case, the unforeseen happens. Navajo fry bread, 1 cup flour, 1.5 teaspoons baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon salt. I usually use a half, and 1 cup powdered milk and 1 cup water. Or you can use your way. You mix it all up. You let it stand for about 20 minutes. The brown bread too. That's raised off of baking. Is it baking soda? The brown bread. Where's my brown bread recipe? Yeah, that was baking soda. So you want to make sure you have baking soda and baking powder. And then you fry this in oil. If you don't have any oil, you're going to have to use bacon grease. Better than nothing. Now about pickles. I pickle anything. And you can either water bath can it or keep it in the refrigerator. I just make them, if I get a couple of veggies at the food pantry, I pickle them so nothing happens to them. Here's the brine. Just boil the brine. Put coarse salt over your veggies, boil the brine, and then put that over the... barley is hard to find out here. These are really nice to have. Homemade pickles are really nice to have. I do stockpile pickling spice, but you can still make pickles. If you don't have it, you can use dill. Okay, so you want to have vinegar, sugar, and dill, or pickling spice. Okay, and vegetables that you're going to grow, like cherry tomatoes, like green onions. Just stick them in the, it's onions and peppers. Okay, now think about tamales. Tamales are really cheap once you learn how to make them. Start learning how to make tamales. Learn how to make the matzah yourself, and then stuff them. And if you're really broke, you can stuff them with corn and green chilies and cheese, or green chilies and cheese, or olives and cheese. Okay, now I want to mention I had 1 grapefruit that was ready to be eaten. So this is what I did, is I put the whole, I took all the grapefruit out of the grapefruit and I blended it several times, and then it made about this much, and I added that much water. There's still a little foam on the top, but I just drink it. No wasting. That is a good grapefruit. My son grew it. Then I made candied grapefruit peels. These are tasty. How many people might not have any citrus, or they throw their grapefruit peels out? I put those peels in some water, and I covered them with, in a little casserole. I covered them with water, and I put a quarter cup sugar in there, and I baked them down. You can boil if you want. When they were soft, I took them out. I put them on my rack. I took them out and I coated them with sugar, and then I put them on my rack, and then I dried them out on the oven, and then I took them out and I coated them with more sugar. So I have that. So, okay, after I made my, I was baking my grapefruit, I made lemon curd. In the olden days, why they used to do stuff so they didn't, oops, that's my baking grease. Why they used to do stuff is so they didn't go hungry. So here, it's grapefruit curd. It's really easy to make. So I mentioned to you guys that I was using my 3 egg whites. So I had these egg yolks, and I had this grapefruit and sugar that was the residual for about 1 grapefruit and a quarter cup sugar. So I put all of that in a saucepan. Then you just add to that 3 egg yolks, and I added 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and then I just stirred it around, and I got this nice curd. So this is nice. You could have this on scones, but if you learn how to make the homemade yogurt, that's really easy to do. Then you're going to have your, learn how to make the Greek yogurt. And what I do is I could use this for a starter, but I usually lurk around and I find the yogurt marked down low, and then it comes out different every time. And then I'll just put some lemon curd. Let's see if I can show you. On my yogurt. And that's from 1 grapefruit. So let me taste this. I know it tastes good because I already tasted it. All right. So we're not going to be getting, one of the worst things is vitamin C deficiency. So can you imagine how much food you could eat if you had 6 grapefruits, or they commonly give us, I got this 1 lemon from my son's house, but this looks like a lemon I got that somebody grew. But I have 3 apples still in there, and I had 12 kiwis this week. And then I wanted to mention the potatoes. I'm going to plant these in a bucket or out in my yard this year, and I'm going to be trying to grow those. Okay, so now the lemon curd would be, I had about 1 cup of water and sugar after baking my rinds are good. About 1 cup, but they say 4 large grapefruit lemons, which would be about 4 lemons, 1 cup granulated sugar. That's a lot. 5 egg yolks, and a half cup salted butter. So use your own judgment. Mine is fine with, it was 1 cup juice and sugar. I didn't need sugar because it was in my rinds. 3 egg yolks, and I have 3 egg whites left, and I have bacon bits, and 2 tablespoons of my homemade butter, and I just boiled it and stirred it up, and voila. Okay, so now think about these cheap foods. Cinnamon toast, tuna casserole, 7-layer dip with a fried egg. So you have your beans, your sour cream and guacamole. We always use sour cream only. Cheese, salsa, green onions, lettuce, and tomato. Or whatever you have. Maybe all you have is beans and salsa and eggs. Okay, beans and weenies with potato chips or French French fries get you by. Crackers and cheese. I worked in the salon and I worked with this kid, and he used, in the mornings, he was in such a good mood, and I was always in such a bad mood because I wasn't fully awake, and he would serve us plates of crackers and cheese every morning, and I go, no thank you, and my followers would eat them and really enjoy them, so I always think about him. Okay, now think about French fries and hot dogs, French fries topped with chili, fish sticks and French fries, top ramen topped with an egg. So now with your lemon curd, you can put that on toast, pancakes, French toast, scones, or yogurt. Now, think about this. Times are tough. You have fry hamburger, break it up in pieces and drain the grease. Probably a good idea to start saving the grease if something bad happens. Mushroom gravy or a can of mushroom soup with 1/2 can water on top of white rice. That'll get you by. Okay, think about black-eyed peas. So that is why I store these good peas. I put little pieces of ham, salt, pepper, sugar, butter, and evaporated milk. Okay, but black-eyed peas with bacon, salt, pepper, sugar, and cornbread. Yams. Okay, yams are sweet potatoes with chipotle, hot sauce, and lime. So that's delicious. Okay, now. All right, now what I'm trying to do is learn as much stuff as I can from the food pantry. So last week they gave us this. So I couldn't find them, and then today I was at Grocery Outlet and I located this for $3.99. So those are 50 cents each, and they're a nice big can of beverage. So, you know, you can have them for a few months. You can drink them all this week, whichever you prefer. Okay, so now we're preparing for depression, war, and grid down. And if you're unable to grow food because you didn't learn how to do it or you don't have any seeds, you can get dirt free if you're determined to do it. Now, if you live in a city, you might have to buy some. But I got it off of the mountain, and I'm determined to. Last year, my garden wasn't very successful, but I did grow food. So I will be showing you guys. Okay, you guys, I will see you tomorrow. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And God bless you all.